Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our next presentation with the TTC group. Today, our guest is Julia Stecker, who will be going over groups, which I think, as I said in the invitation, is very important nowadays because our clients are real excited about traveling, but they want the security of traveling in a group. So, Julius, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And very excited to talk to everybody today about groups. And I think groups is going to be the number one opportunity for you guys to grow your business and do it in a substantial way. So what I'm going to talk today about is groups with our brands, but I want to focus on what right? So what I want to focus on first for the agenda here is why groups with TTC, some of the things we can do from a marketing and sales support standpoint, our group discounts and our group benefits for you, and also to booking with confidence with our group department. So we go 70 countries and 7 continents. All right, here, my PowerPoint jammed up a little bit there, so we'll go through here. One of the things I want to talk about today is specifically what types of groups that TTC does. So we have 3 different types of groups: scheduled groups, scheduled departures, exclusive groups, exclusive departures, and then custom departures. So I'm going to go through each one here as we bullet point. So the first one I'm going to talk about here is our scheduled departures. So basically what we mean by scheduled departures are groups that are booked through scheduled departures out of the brochure. So it will be a minimum of 9 guests out of the brochure. And then what we do require is a $500 refundable deposit, and we hold space up to 150 days prior to departure. So the great thing with scheduled groups, it allows you the flexibility to hold anywhere from 9 seats to 30 seats, and we can do it basically at no risk to you, which is a great selling tool for you guys. Another thing we'll talk about here is exclusive departures. Now, exclusive departures are groups where we take the entire coach out. The challenge with these particular departures is we only can hold it up to 180 days prior to departure. Now with scheduled groups, we can hold them up to 150 days prior to departure, which is basically 5 months before departure. With exclusive groups, it's only 6 months prior to departure. But we do require a refundable $1,000 deposit to hold space. But if you feel that you can sell out the whole departure, we're able to hold the whole coach for you. We can do that for you here. But I want to talk specifically, though, about the advantage I think where we do have over everybody else is where it's custom departures, where we can develop itineraries for you. So these are the things that we can do for you when it comes to thinking outside the box. One of the great things about our custom departures is that we only require a minimum of 10 guests to travel. So if you think in terms of 10 guests, you think 5 couples, which is a very small number. And we only require a minimum of 4 nights to travel. So you don't have to really spend a lot of time in these destinations if you're looking at a custom group. So if you're looking at a custom group that you want to do in one country, but we can also do custom groups up to 2 to 3 weeks as long in length as well. One of the good things too is we have a refundable $500 deposit, which is fully refundable for you here. And we always quote rates at net for you, which we can work with you on. The great thing with us being a group department, we handle the duty of care for you here. We provide travel insurance options, air inclusive rates, individual payments, accommodations, transportation, meals and entertainment activities. They're all included for you here. So we can provide that for you here. But what I want to get into now is the nuts and bolts of groups in general. I went through a little bit of when it comes to groups and our group policies and our group standpoint when it comes to what our groups are, like our exclusive departures, our scheduled departures, and our custom departures. But I want to focus now specifically on what types of groups, how to go after groups, how to find groups. And I specifically think the key to finding groups and knowing what types of groups to go after here is to think in terms of affinity groups. And affinity groups basically stands for traveling with like-minded individuals or like-minded organizations that you're a part of. So I'm going to talk specifically about a few affinity group organizations that we are very successful with at TTC. The first one is going to be religious interest groups. And I want to separate those into 3 segments for you to give you kind of an understanding when it comes to religious interest trips. So when I talk about religious interest trips, I talk of 3 different types of trips. First being fellowship trip, second being pilgrimage type trip, third being mission type trip. Now, mission trips are really something that we don't really do here at TTC. We focus more on the fellowship and we focus more on the pilgrimage types trips. So describing and explaining the fellowship trip to you, the fellowship trip here would be basically traveling to a destination where it's just traveling for non-religious reasons. So for instance, I would describe this as basically going to, let's say, Alaska, or let's say going to a national parks trip with members of your religious organization where there's no religious element to it. It's just basically traveling with that organization. Next, I'm going to talk about pilgrimage trips. Now, when it comes to pilgrimage trips, it would be something specifically focused on a religious activity. So when we're talking about that, we would say basically for 2022, the biggest religious trip that we have is the 2022 Obram Passion Play, which is a big trip when it comes to a religious pilgrimage trip. Another trip would be something like going to Italy and doing like the papal audience in Italy, or doing a religious trip to Israel. Those would be kind of the pilgrimage type trips that you can work with here. Let's talk a little bit about some other organizations that you can work with as well. Food and wine groups. So the question I always ask you here, and I think this is a great thing to ask yourselves too here when it comes to finding groups, is one thing: who do you know and where do you go? So if you are a member of a food club, it may be a great opportunity to promote and grow your business here by adding a food group. Or maybe you're part of a wine club. Maybe there's an opportunity to think about doing a group with a wine club. So at TTC, we can work with you a vast number of itineraries that we can work with you on, but we can also customize and build itineraries for you as well. So think in terms of another type of group here, and like getting back to my concept of who do you know and where do you go? Academic groups. So think in terms, are you affiliated with a university? Are you part of a continuing education program? One of the largest segments in the travel industry when it comes to group travel is alumni travel. So you think in terms of if you're an alum at a university, you may want to work with the university and build a trip for them, but also maybe a continuing education program, because a lot of the universities that you can work with have the ability to work with have a continuing education program, and you have the ability to work with them on that. All right. And a few other opportunities here when you're thinking of groups here would be incentive and reward groups. Sporting event groups, what we mean by that would be like doing an event based around a sporting event. So let's think in terms of like a game in Europe. Like for instance, next year, one of my favorite teams is the Green Bay Packers. They're playing in London. You could maybe build an itinerary around something like that. Social club groups, which is something, for instance, if you're a member of a social club and organization. Senior groups, because being guided vacations, senior groups are one of the largest segments of our particular segment of travelers. And military groups, like for instance, going out and visiting areas here associated with military destinations. One of the biggest ones would be visiting like Normandy in France. So some of the things here when it comes to what we can provide from a support standpoint for you here is we have an outstanding local sales team through all our brands. They're able to help you promote the trip, do event support and do events for you, and help you with the marketing aspects too. Another great thing that we can do for you as well, which we include for you, is we can provide digital flyers and posters for you, which you can use for email blasts and things of that nature too. And also getting to the next point of the matter here is dedicated landing pages. Now, the great thing with dedicated landing pages is they're itinerary specific. So for instance, let's do a hypothetical here. Let's say you're promoting a wine group with a wine organization in Napa Valley. We can give you a dedicated landing page for that particular itinerary, which you can use for an email blast that you can send out to your database, which is a great selling advantage here. But also too, getting to the local sales team element, getting to event support. We can provide the support for you and do these multimedia presentations for you here and help you work through that. So that's great from a standpoint of how we support. I think that's one of the great things that we can do here at TTC. So kind of giving you a little slide here, and I like this slide in particular because it's a great slide from a standpoint of how groups work. And when you think in terms of groups, one of the things you want to think about is it's a longer booking window. So when you think in terms of longer booking window, what do I mean by that? What I basically mean is you're looking at a window, probably looking at 18 months out when you run block the group, and then you could promote the group throughout. Now, that being said, the window can be shorter, but typically the most successful groups are the ones that are booked further out. So what we see is from that window, like I said, 18 months is usually the longest selling point, but 18 months to 12 months. Sometimes it goes even further out, but sometimes it can be more condensed if you have a group that's already looking and already looking to go to a destination within a relatively quick period of time. So this kind of gives you an idea here. And this slide, like I said, is very good because it gives you an idea as you form the group with a common interest and affiliation, focusing on the affinity element. We provide the quote for you here. We work through the presentations. We provide the structure when it comes to doing deposits and then we do the e-documents, and then from that point on, they travel, they come back, and we have a welcome party too. So it gives you kind of a long plan when it comes to promoting groups. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about tips and tricks, because like I said, we talked a little bit about what TTC does from a standpoint of what we do for schedule groups, exclusive groups, and custom groups. But I want to give you an idea of what it is, and I think will help you be more successful when it comes to promoting and selling trips. As I mentioned in the previous slide, give yourself plenty of lead time to fill the seats successfully, because the more time you have to fill the departure, the more time you have to promote and sell the destination. So the longer window you have, it gives you more of that opportunity to do well with that. So I always tell my agents is to give yourself a long enough lead time. Another great opportunity for you here to think about here is upsell your pre and post cruising excursions. So give you a hypothetical here, because we just had a great success story with this, with an agency that actually is booking a Mediterranean cruise. So the great thing with this cruise is they have over 250 people going on a Mediterranean cruise. And what we did on our end is we were able to build them a custom pre-extension. And the great thing with that is it was only 4 nights, and it was for a destination that they were looking at. And we just added that on. And one of the great things with that is it helped increase their additional commission sales. So not only do they get to take advantage of the cruise commission that they're going to get from the cruise line, they're going to get a land commission that we built for them because we were able to build this itinerary for them, which adds in and increases your bottom line. So getting back to the slide 2 slides ago, and I think that's important to articulate this particular point here, is create a calendar to help keep important dates like deposits and final payments on track. Because the more organized and structured you are, the more successful you're going to be when it comes to your particular group. So another thing too is if you have done groups in the past, I always think it's important to ask for testimonials. Ask for reviews of your previous groups to showcase your portfolio, because some of you may have done groups before and some of you may have not. But if you have done groups, I think it's a very important question to ask your last participants, because you want to develop those testimonials, because one of the great things about that is increases your credibility when it comes to what you're doing and providing. As I talked about before, always think in terms of how you can maximize revenue when it comes to groups. And I think when it comes to that, customization is the best element too. One of the points of customization to talk about what the advantage is not only can you do things like create long weekends for groups and short trips with a minimum of 4 nights, you can increase your bottom line. And you can create itineraries that are very different from scheduled departures. So getting back to the first slide I showed you on scheduled departures, like I said, that's basically taking the itinerary out of the book. The challenge with that sometimes is people are looking for differentiation. When it comes to customizing and build long weekends and different itineraries, we can build those customizations in those itineraries for you here, which creates that differentiation that you're looking at. And I think that's important when it comes to customized itineraries too, but it makes things your own, which I think a lot of people like to see. So another thing I think you have to think about too, and this is one of the great advantages we have in today's day and age, is how do we leverage our social and professional networks, right? We have this great tool that we're all a part of, is Facebook. We can use that as a tool to promote our groups. So for instance, hypothetical, let's say we're promoting a group to Italy. What a better way to generate excitement by posting something on Facebook to all your friends and family saying, hey, I'm doing an Italy group. Also to maybe professional networks. Let's say you're a member of a organization and they allow you to promote within that organization to say, hey, I'm promoting this Italy group. You can actually use that as an advantage for you here to increase your awareness within the group sphere. So as I talked about with that last slide here, take advantage of social media with boosted posts. And we can actually help you with that too. Our marketing teams can work with you on that to do that, because we can make things more tailored to you. But I think the key here is definitely leverage your social media with boosted posts, but also leveraging that particular audience that you already have in place. Another thing to think about too for you guys here, if you're the ideas are spinning here, is partner with a local influence to spread the word. And what I mean by that is maybe possibly work with them on partnering them with offering them a free trip. So for instance, let's give you a hypothetical here. Let's say you have a friend who is a pretty big deal in the wine community, and you think if you promote the trip with him or her, they will be able to sell out the trip One of the great things with that is that person would get a free trip to whatever the destination would be, let's say Napa Valley. But also too, you could take advantage of that by getting 40 people on booked or even more and getting a substantial commission. So it's just in terms of your thought processes and how you can think outside the box. How do you grow your business? And I think thinking outside the box and looking to partner with local influencers is a good way to think about and learn how to do this. All right, another great thing you can do with us too is work with your local sales team. And what I mean by that is we have a great sales team in place here that can work with you here. And I think one of the advantages of that is they can help you promote the itineraries. We can help leverage things as far as with multimedia presentations, and we can be the expert for you here in this destination. Another great thing here is we have a lot of people on this call here. One of the things that I found very, very successful is combining ideas. And what I mean by that is basically working together. I had a situation here, and we have this one group that we work with every year now, where it's 4 agents across the country. One is based in Colorado, one is based in New York, one is based in Florida, and I believe the other one's based in California. And what they do is they pick one trip a year, and they all sell to their travelers. So one of the things that minimizes the risk, right? Because you don't have to fill up 40 seats. So we usually typically will fill up the whole coach because one of the agents will get 9 people, one of the agents will get 11 people, and the other agent will get 8 people, and the other one will get 10 people. So that in turn creates a full coach, which allows you the ability to leverage that too. So it's not a bad idea to think about too, because one of the things is a lot of people feel it's a daunting task. They feel, oh, I can't get 40 people on a group. But hey, if I partner with 4 people, I can get 9 people because I know 9 people that want to go to Italy. I know 9 people that want to do a river cruise. That is a good opportunity to think about here. So think in terms of thinking outside the box and possibly partnering and maximizing those efforts when you're working with fellow advisors. So a little bit about what we do here from a discount and benefit standpoint, because on all our itineraries that are scheduled departures, we provide benefits for you here. So I'm not going to get too much in the nuances of what the commission is, but we do provide a competitive commission for you here, and we do provide great complimentaries for you as well. And we also provide great discounts when it comes to building bigger groups too. But if also wanted to talk specifically about custom, because custom allows you the flexibility and capabilities to build these things in and create your own structures. Like I said, it creates issues where you're not dealing with competitive disadvantages of competing with itineraries that are online or that are already in the brochure. So it gives you an idea to kind of think outside the box here. All right, so booking with confidence with TTC. The great thing with our brands is we are financially secure, debt-free, no risk deposit. So every deposit that you put down with us is fully refundable. So we basically will refund the deposit. So if you the group ends up not being successful, you put a $500 deposit with us, we will refund you the deposit. So there's no risk there. Flexible payment and change schedules, which is great for you here, especially with custom groups. So we provide that flexibility for you here. So you know when you book with TTC, you can book with confidence. So we have a great team here. As you can see, there's me in the background there, but that is our team up front there, and we're here to support you for any needs that you do have, and that's our custom and our schedule team. We're here to provide support for you. And these are our contact information. So for anything from a scheduled departure standpoint, you can email the scheduled team box here at ttc.com and also call the number. And then from a custom standpoint, you can also email us or give us a call here from a custom tour standpoint, or you can contact your local DSM or your local strategic account manager, or you can email them directly as well if you have any interest in groups. But one of the things I hope you came away from this presentation is not only the little things of the nuances of what we do as a brand when it comes to our policies and procedures, but I want you to think outside the box and what you've learned from the standpoint of how can you grow your business with groups? Because if you think of growing, and the fastest way I think to growing, especially now coming out of the situation with COVID-19, groups is going to be one of the fastest and best ways to grow your network and basically grow your travel business. And we here at TTC can provide the support you need to help you be successful when it comes to your group departures. So that is it for my presentation. I wanted to keep it short and sweet, but I don't know if anybody had any questions for me at all when it comes to groups. Yeah, but
Well,
otherwise
Julius,
was
I
my
don't show
presentation.
anything in the chat, but anyways, most of you are muted, but if you have a question, please go ahead and unmute yourself or put in the chat and we can read them to Julius. But I want to thank you. It was excellent presentation that was very succinct about groups.
Great. Thanks for sending. Yeah, I think one of the things, like I said, the big thing we want to come away from this here is focus on what you can do from a group standpoint too. And I think one of the things educationally we want to educate our agents. Yes, I want you to book TTC groups, but I also want you to think outside the box if you're booking other groups as well, because there's so much opportunity in this sphere. And like I said, one of the great success stories we had 2 weeks ago, we had a group that was doing a ocean cruise, had a huge group, and we were able to do a custom extension, and we did build in the commissions for them, and it's going to be a substantial win for them. 200 people, thinking of terms of how much commission that can be additional on top of the commission that they had from the ocean cruise. It just was a huge thing that we provided for them too. But like I said, it was just one of the things, us thinking outside the box, working with our travel partners to make sure that they understand what we can do and what our capabilities are to help and support you guys.
Oh, perfect. All right. There doesn't seem to be any questions. No one's unmuted themselves. So Julius, I want to thank you again, and we'll have TTC with us again in 2 weeks.
Thanks for
Have a
sending. I
great
appreciate it
afternoon.
so much. Have a great day.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.